Bro, there's this guy walking up to homeless encampments in Austin and New Orleans, not to hand out food or water or hygiene kits, but to hand out 18-inch machetes, cigarettes, and bottles of vodka. His name is Keith Castillo, and he's basically a one-man FEMA disaster, but in reverse. This dude might legit be a supervillain.
The fact that bruh really think he's doing a good deed. I mean, come on, man. Half the time when you see the homeless people out there, they're drunk, they're belligerent. Some of them are quiet and cool standing, but a lot of them, when they get that liquor or they get that drug of choice up in there, you already know it's mayhem. For you to give those people machetes, you are wrong, buddy. Now, I don't usually throw the finger at people like that, but this is some bullshit, man.
I've seen those videos of people trying to give homeless people money or food for clout on the internet, but this guy took it a step further and started passing out machetes and sometimes alcohol to them for clout on the internet. This TikToker posted a video on 27 November 2025, Thanksgiving Day, of him handing out machetes straight from the packaging to people that were homeless in Austin, Texas, and the caption for the video was, quote, "Keeping the homeless in the streets safe," with Drake's God's Plan playing in the background. Now, he's posted numerous videos of him handing out large vodka bottles to people, passing out other blades that he referred to as big ass swords, and then also just handing out alcohol and cigarettes to folks in the homeless community.
Look at his captions, keeping the homeless in the streets. He claims the machetes are for protection, but come on, to me, this is insanity. He is actively flooding a destabilized environment with high-proof alcohol and lethal weapons simultaneously.
What is actually happening with society? Like, the amount of things that people do for clicks and for clout, it just, I don't know, honestly baffles the mind. Now, what's happening is either one of 5 things or probably several of them. Maybe he's right and he's doing this as a means of provocative content creation so that he can get engagement. And part of that, it could be him trying to set up scenarios to see the homeless people fight each other. Almost like he's setting up the stage for something. The other possibility is that he's trying to help the police or something. You know, probably like a calculated effort to quote unquote assist them by precipitating some massive upsurge in criminal incidents, or it could be just to overload them. It could be any of those things. The third possibility seems like the most likely, and it's that he has this ideologically driven hostility toward the homeless population. One of the captions is, "Keeping the homeless in the streets," as the guy pointed out earlier in one of the clips I showed. And it's like bro straight up trying to commit a purge level scenario, because what better way to systematically diminish their numbers through self-inflicted chaos? The fourth possibility is that he probably is one of those people who harbors a great disdain to the legal system or the loopholes through them or whatever. And it may be possible that he's even aiming to provoke judicial scrutiny in order for there to be legislative reform that could then cascade into nationwide or statewide reevaluation and overturn of permissive policies on weapons and or substance distribution. And as people have pointed out, he is taking advantage of a loophole in the legal system in Texas that doesn't make it a crime for him to do this. Nor should it be a crime, because I'm sure if you're hacking your way through some wild brush and you're using a machete to do it and a cop stops you, you're not going to want to go to jail for that. The last very unlikely scenario is that Castillo could sincerely perceive that him doing this is somehow a benevolent act. A lot of these people operate outside the law, and so, you know, you're giving them ways to defend themselves, and that's fair. But if a lot of these people are homeless also because they're criminals and they don't follow the law, and then people are like, oh my God, we don't want to get robbed and we're not allowed to carry weapons ourselves, and then we got a whole bunch of drunk homeless people with probably mental issues running after us like that zombie guy. How can you keep those people safe?
Influencer Keith Castillo is handing out machetes to the homeless for clicks. He has already been to Austin, New Orleans, and Little Rock, and plans on hitting up New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas next. He has allegedly gone to the authorities and they told him that it wasn't a technical crime, but just because handing out a tool and not to mention jugs of literal alcohol to people who aren't necessarily in the best mental places in their lives isn't a crime doesn't mean it can't lead to tons of crime. He told the New York Post that he plans on making more videos like this with the 18-inch machetes.
Crime with Kylie has a point.
Feed the homeless! Today I'm going to be making something special for people in need. Because of the government shutdown being in effect, there are a lot of struggling people out here. Everyone deserves a good meal, and I'm very grateful to be able to use my privilege to give back however I can.
homeless man is not as philanthropic as he tries to come across, because there are so many people I've met on the streets whom I fed, and the number one thing that they claim they have a really hard time with is addiction. So you're gonna give them alcohol and cigarettes. A man who was struggling to get off alcohol, probably lost everything he had because of alcohol, and you're like, free candy for everyone. Keeping y'all in the streets. We don't want you coming back and getting no success. You stay on the streets. You stay there. He's using his privilege to pay. This is basically the government, by the way. This is like celebrities and the government all rolled up into one. As well, yes, it is their choice. They're adults. They can make their own decisions. A lot of them, yes, they come upon hard times, but there are also a lot of them that made really poor decisions throughout their life, which is why they ended up homeless in the first place. I've talked to a lot of them, and they were at least honest enough to admit that. But if you're going to areas where you know a lot of people are homeless, are not going to abide by the law because they feel desperate or because they're not working. So you're going to naturally have higher crime in these areas where there's a huge population of homeless people. Let's give them even more of a motivation to get drunk, on top of giving them what a lot of them might perceive as a weapon. Because you're not giving them a machete and telling them it's for cutting grass when you're going through the wilderness. You're literally saying, here, you gotta stay strapped, bros. Now, what's funny is that we've gone to his channel, and apparently he deleted all the videos with the homeless people. If you scroll through his TikTok on the latest, every single one of the homeless videos are gone. It's just freaking Fortnite or whatever the hell other videos he had up there. And of course, people are flaming him, saying, why would you think it was smart to give alcohol and knives to the homeless? Someone says digital footprint is forever. Bro archived his videos. Where all the content go? Unemployment final boss. Never forget. Someone said, to be honest, I like the fact that you gave them alcohol because that is what got most of them in that situation. I hope you told them to manage it so that they don't rob others to get it. Just help them in moderation as time goes on. They'll stop. But the machete is a big no. Okay, so alcohol is okay. The thing that got them in that situation, telling them to manage it, this person is delusional. I'm sorry. Whoever you are, I'm sure you're a nice person, but you're a fucking dumbass. Here's a little bit of coke. It don't matter that, you probably got in this situation because you took a little bit and then gradually upped the intake. Just manage it. You're a full-blown alcoholic. Here's some more. Just manage it, okay? I'm gonna give it to you for free. All you gotta do is just moderation, am I right? They're in that problem, whether it be from alcohol, drugs, or otherwise, because they did those actions with no moderation or they had the inability to do so. Do people not think before they post things? So yeah, people are very upset, understandably, because the thing is, if you really cared about the homeless, which we know he doesn't because he's trying to keep them in the streets, why would you give them weapons for their destruction? Giving people alcohol and cigarettes, okay, maybe the cigarettes part, whatever, yeah, let's up their chances for lung cancer, kill them faster, right? But giving them alcohol on top of the problems there when you have compounding that with also handing them a weapon. And what did you think was going to happen? They're all going to hold hands and clink their blades together and go kumbaya, my lord? Did you not think that alcohol and them imbibing it to such a degree was going to probably get them more arrogant or aggressive? Do you think that everyone's gonna be like, man, I'm super satisfied with only one machete. I'm totally not gonna wanna steal somebody else's or steal their alcohol or steal their cigarettes and us start fighting for it, especially when there's a lot of territorial disputes among the homeless and a lot of them are violent because they have mental issues. Or they're just pieces of shit. Oh yeah, never thought about that. Never thought about the fact that giving it to women, even though they can use it, that men may gang up on them and try to take their weapon, or take everybody else's weapon and then try to sell it to other homeless people, or just go batshit and start ousting the competition for the resources because they have more. The whole irony of the situation is the very fact that someone was stupid enough to even think to do something like this in the first place for clicks and views just showcases how dumb humanity is. You can be privileged and do something this stupid. What makes you think that the homeless people wouldn't do something even stupider, giving them the tools to make the greater level of stupid that much more aggrandized? Like, they're in that situation, a lot of them, because they also were doing stupid things like this person did, who thought this was going to end well for him. Now, I personally don't think that he took down the videos because the clout was getting too much, because for someone on TikTok, everybody wants to blow up, everyone wants attention. But I think he was getting the wrong type of attention. Because the thing is, even though he hasn't face any reported arrests or charges or anything, his actions could still invite legal scrutiny under Texas law or any other place that he's in if they escalate or are reframed by authorities. You know, civil liability. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Under Texas Penal Code 22.5, deadly conduct, a person commits an offense by recklessly engaging in conduct that places another in imminent danger or serious bodily harm. Recklessness is defined in section 6.3c as being aware but not consciously disregarding a substantial and unjustifiable risk. And this could apply if the dude Castillo's distributions are deemed to foreseeably heighten risks of violence or harm among vulnerable recipients like these homeless people, who a lot of them have mental issues, or bystanders, or doing things like arming intoxicated individuals with 18-inch machetes in public spaces. So if it's just reckless, like no intent to harm, that wasn't his intent, it's a class A misdemeanor. You can get up to a year in jail and a $4,000 fine. If it involves discharging a weapon or greater culpability, it escalates to a third-degree felony, which is where you get 2 to 10 years in prison. Now, there's been a lot of people who've explicitly called for charges on these grounds, saying understandably that the combination of giving people a blade and alcohol creates a horde primed for chaos. You're giving them all at the same time, like it's the freaking purge. And let's say one of them starts chopping up the other, or a whole bunch of stuff starts happening after he's already given these blades to people. Prosecutors could argue that Castillo's stunt contributed recklessly, especially given that he already admitted that he was doing it mainly for clicks. And you better hope that everybody he gave the alcohol to was over the age of 18, and that's another misdemeanor. Texas Alcoholic Beverage Code, you know, purchase and furnishing alcohol to minors. If that's the case, that's like a class C misdemeanor, and it escalates from there if you're reckless. You also have the Health and Safety Code, and then you have Penal Code 22.4, injury to a child or elderly individual or disabled individual. We saw him handing stuff to people in wheelchairs as well. Homeless youth can also qualify. That's a state jail felony where you can get 180 days to up to 2 years. Are you verifying the ages of these people? What if there are children in the area, or some of these homeless people have children now? You've given homeless people with already mental issues. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things out there. What if you give it to them and they're next to a school or something? This was just so stupid. This was really, really stupid. It's different if you want to give them food, but straight up feeding them the weapons to their destruction and possibly even yours, because they could have turned around and been like, you know what? Thanks for this. Now I'm gonna chop your head off. Like, that's just so stupid to me. And every year, another novelty.
I moved on, I got a chick, she's bad.